Greetings viewers, if you click the video link, you already know what we're here for. Today we are installing the UTG Pro M70 UGO drop-in quad rail. So first things first, we're going to safety check our firearm. We have already done that as indicated by the chamber flag here. So we're going to go ahead and get started and go ahead and disassemble the weapon. So I'm going to get my chamber flag out of there. Your style of AK may differ, so there may be a couple different controls here. For example, many AKs, you can just press this in and remove your dust cover. This particular AK has a pin that blocks this from sliding and bumping around, so that's kind of a nice little safety feature. So we have to actually depress this pin here while we press in on the rear. And we got to push in hard and far enough that it drops down and allows the dust cover to come off. So once we take the dust cover off, we have access to the recoil system here. We have to press this pin again. Your particular style of rifle may not have this, but I have to press and hold it all the way, which will allow me to slide this forward. I can let go of the pin and then pull our recoil assembly out of the back. And then that allows us to take our bolt. Safety lever's got to be down, pull the entire bolt and piston assembly out of the rear. So now our firearm is completely safe. Now, right on the right hand side of the rifle here next to your rear sight, there is a little lever that should be sitting in a dimple. I kind of popped it out already for simplicity's sake for making the video. So you're going to take that lever, you're going to have to put some force on it. You may want to get a little punch or something, give it some extra oomph. So that's just going to flip up. Once this is flipped up, you can grab the rear of your upper handguard assembly that has your gas tube and just pull it up, and the entire unit should come out. Then, at the front here, we have this little kind of arm that pivots up and down. We need to pull that up so that we are able to remove the bottom handguard, much the same that we just did the top. So if you can find some sort of tool or something to get underneath it. All right, so once we've got that lever all the way forward, this entire assembly should slide. You may need to give it a little whack or something to kind of loosen it up, depending on how dirty or old your firearm is. That should come forward. That should allow this entire handguard to then come forward. Make sure that this little metal retaining piece comes off with it. So you should just have kind of bare metal and bare metal up here. First thing we need to do is that little lever that we use to unlock the bottom portion of the handguard. We need to put that back in place because this is a drop-in handguard. It's going to use everything that's set the way that it is. So we want this to not be mobile. So get that back into position, and then we're going to flip that lever down. You may need to give it a couple whacks to get it back in place. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to remove the upper handguard from the gas tube. Depending on, again, your firearm, how old, how new, what equipment's on there, if it's been swapped out before, how tight or loose it is. This is going to be a lot easier for some than others. So the way that we need to do that is we need to get a hold of the gas tube, we need to get a hold of the handguard, and we need to twist it. So whatever you can do that will not damage the firearm is your best bet. There are some flat ends here, so what I've done is I've just put a adjustable wrench to hold that. And then I've got some grippers here. I don't care if it mars up the plastic because they're not going to be used again. You may want to save yours, so you may want to put a cloth or something over it. And you're going to twist everything all the way around, 180 degrees, and then you should see that it's opposite of the little kind of notches there, and then it should pop out. You may need to, again, give it a little bit of motivation. And then we should just have a plain gas tube. Again, the plastic handguard can go to the side. We're not using it again. So once we have this front piece down, leave this up. We need to reinstall the gas tube first. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the front end in over there. So you may have to wiggle your lever a little bit just to get it to drop in there. That should drop into place, and then we can go ahead and lock this lever back down because we need it to stay in that position. All right, so now we've got our gas tube reinstalled. On our next step, we need to go ahead and reassemble the firearm. So we're going to put our bolt back in. So we've got our bolt back in. We're going to put our recoil assembly back in. Remember on here, we have to push this rod again, which is going to allow that to pop all the way to the rear. We're going to put our dust cover on. This can be kind of a pain in the butt. You need to kind of find that notch up in the front underneath the rear sight. We're going to kind of push it in there as far as we can. We have to push that pin back here in and then push forward and down on our dust cover. And once that pops out, this is locked back in place. We're good to go here. So part of the next step, we've got a bag here that has some spacers, screws, and an Allen wrench in it. We need to open this up. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find these spacers. They are kind of a little funky shape. The side that has kind of a weird notch cut out, and then there's a side that's ramped. The side that has the weird notch cut out is for your gas tube. So that side is going to go up, and it's going to go just behind where it's kind of crimped here. There's one side that has the cutout so that you can have these screws flush mount. The other ones are for the receiving end. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. So we're just going to use the included Allen wrench to go ahead and tighten these screws down. We're not trying to snap this thing in half, so you don't need to go crazy with it. This is probably going to slide back and forth, but once you get the screws in, then you won't have to worry about it falling out anywhere, so then you can kind of find the proper spacing where you want it. Like I said, just behind these dimples in the gas tube here. All right, so we're tightening down until we get some resistance on 1, get some resistance on 2. That's the position that it should be located in. So we're going to go ahead and tighten those down. It doesn't list a specific inch pound or anything, but again, as usual, do not try and snap these screws off in here. We just want to make it nice and hand tight. All this does is it kind of keeps you from crushing the gas tube with the outer rail and therefore interfering with the operation of the piston. So we just want this on here tight enough that it's not going to fall off while we're shooting. All right, so before we install the bottom rail section, there are some spacers that are in the bag. There are 2 of them that have these little kind of fins sticking out. One is much thicker than the other. And then there are 2 that just have notches and there is no little piece sticking out. So you're going to kind of have to play with it to see how tight your tolerances are here when sliding the bottom rail in. If you have a lot of slop or wiggle and you need to fill this gap right here, you'll need to use some of these spacers to figure that out. I'm going to start out with the thinnest one here, just so that we can kind of cover that up, cover up that front hole that goes into the bottom of the receiver here. And we're going to see if we can slide this handguard up on the bottom. And it seems like that thin one is perfect. Your mileage may vary again, so go ahead and play with these to make sure you know which ones you need. And we're just going to slide this all the way into place. This does only go on one way. There's a cutout back here that you need to put towards the rear because it needs to make room for the piece of the gas tube back here that sticks out further than the rest of the gas tube so that the front can line up. We're going to make sure this is nice and even. So that's in place where we want it to be. So our next step is going to be to take the top section and we're going to put it over our gas tube. There is a little cutout kind of notched here on the front, so that's going to go forward. Make sure you don't install it this way. So put the notch forward, we're going to set it straight on top, and then we just kind of sandwich the gas tube in there. So again, this should drop right on there. There are 4 screw holes on the top, 2 on either side. You should be able to look down and see that they are matched up and that the 2 pieces of the top and bottom of the handguard there are matching. There is no gap or space in between here on either side. So there is a second bag here that has 4 screws in it. Those are the ones that we are going to use to attach the top and bottom of the handguard. We can get rid of these spacers or any other extra parts we've got laying around here. I would recommend going ahead and putting some Loctite on your screws before you install them in here. Remember, they did give us an Allen wrench in the kit, so that's what we're going to use to tighten these. Just be careful to make sure you don't cross thread them. Also, we're not trying to tighten them down individually, so just get it started, get it moving a little bit, and then go ahead and put the next one in. Sometimes what I like to do is I'll start to spin it backwards to get those threads to lock in, and then turn it to the right to get them to tighten. Give it a couple good turns so that you know that it's caught in there, and then switch to the next one. So then once you've got all 4 screws in, I would just go ahead and kind of like your lug nuts on a car, go ahead and just cross tighten them here. So like we're going to do this back right one, get that till it's nice and snug, and then we're going to go to the front left. And we're going to go across to the front right. And then the rear left. And I'll just kind of go back and forth and do that until all of them are at a sufficient tightness, since again they did not provide us with any inch-pound torque settings. So we just kind of, again, make it hand tight. It's Loctited. It shouldn't back itself out while you're shooting. And once you're sufficiently satisfied with the tightness of those screws, you now have your handguard installed. So you can go ahead and attach whatever accessories you want to put on there. It does come with some of these little plastic rubber rail covers that you can put on as needed. So whatever your use case scenario is, hopefully you found this video useful and you're able to get this all set up the way you wanted. If you have any questions, there's something you think I missed or didn't cover in the video, please leave me a comment down below. I'll be glad to get back to you. If I can't answer your question in comment form, I will go ahead and try and make a separate video or short in order to help answer your question. But anyway, with that, I'll stop taking up your time. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.